Hi, I'm going to demonstrate how to make fresh pasta. With me is Dr. Han Nguyen, our professor of food and beverage at the University of North Texas.
Yeah, it's great to be here and learn how to make pasta with Chef Duya.
Thank you so much. Really simple. The ingredients are flour, eggs, a little salt, a little olive oil, but you don't really even need the olive oil. So let's get started. So we start with the flour. It's about 2 cups of all-purpose flour, unbleached. And then I make a well. And add my eggs. And then we add the oil and the salt.
The oil
Right in.
and the side, the
Salt.
center.
Perfect. And then use a fork and you start to beat the eggs, breaking the yolks, and slowly working the flour into it. And then as it starts to form a dough, still pretty not together yet, but I'm going to turn it onto the table. And now the fun begins. We get to start kneading. So the thing about fresh pasta and wheat flour is there's protein in it called 2 proteins, and they make up something called gluten. And gluten is what gives wheat pasta its unique texture. And so this process here, the kneading, is as the gluten absorbs the moisture from the eggs, it starts to stretch. You want to try kneading?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, like this. Then I need to add flours. Do we put any water in the dough?
If it feels a little dry, I might add a little bit of water, or we may not need all the flour in it. So you want a pretty stiff dough, but you don't want it necessarily so hard you can't manipulate it.
Good.
Yeah, you're doing beautiful.
Oh.
And so this takes some time. This is usually about 10 minutes to knead it. And it seems endless.
So how can we know like whether this is ready for the next step?
So what you're looking for is it to feel, it should get really smooth. We'll put this on the side. We may not need all of that. But it needs to, like, all this should be absorbed and the dough should become nice and smooth and stretchy. So we got a little ways to go. And but you can feel the difference already, right? You can see as you were working with it, it started to change in texture.
Is there any technique you can use?
This, and the more you push on it, the faster it goes. So this is one of those things you do not have to be delicate with.
Just push it hard.
Push it hard. And try.
Okay. Oh, now I can feel the difference.
Right? Yeah, it's really starting to smooth out inside.
I feel like solid together. Yeah.
It's nice to have someone to do it with so you can trade off. So you want it, it should be squeezable, but shouldn't feel sticky.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see it's really changing in how it looks.
Mm-hmm. And even the color change.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The egg yolks really start to come through.
Mm.
So it's almost getting there, but you can see how it breaks apart.
Mm-hmm.
So not ready.
Not ready.
Not ready.
Okay.
So you can see it feels smooth to my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And when I stretch on it, oh, no, not ready yet. Not ready. Faked me out. So you see now it's stretchy,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't break apart,
Mm-hmm.
it's smooth. And you feel the dough feels really smooth,
Oh, yes.
soft,
Mm-hmm.
smooth. And so that's what you want to, that's what you're looking for. Once you get to that point, you want to wrap it in some plastic and let it rest 30 minutes because all that gluten that you just stretched needs time to relax. Once it relaxes, you get to roll it out. So the dough has had time to rest, so the gluten's relaxed, and we should be able to roll it out pretty nicely. Really important that you keep it tightly covered, otherwise it forms something called an elephant skin, where it's all dried out and looks like elephant skin. So we're gonna roll the pasta through a machine, but in China they have some they cut the pasta, and sometimes they do the
hand stretch, the
Yeah.
hand pull noodles.
That is the
Yeah.
coolest thing to watch. So I put a little flour on, and then I'm going to divide it into 3 pieces. And while I'm working with one of them, I'm going to cover the others so they don't dry out. And so this is a little thick to go through the pasta machine, so you need to roll it out a little bit. And so you can see how it springs back?
Mm-hmm.
That's the gluten.
Oh.
So that's the unique, one of the unique properties of wheat pasta and gluten is that it has that stretchiness.
Mm-hmm.
So this pasta machine, this is a hand crank one. You can get them that with a motor, and it's a little faster and easier. but these are pretty reasonably priced. And basically, the thing about a pasta machine is you don't ever wash a pasta machine because it's full of flour. And if you wash it, it basically just like won't work anymore.
Okay.
And so
How can we clean the machine?
we use a brush. We'll brush it out. So you want it on the largest opening. So this is on 7, and then I put some flour in
Okay.
and roll it through. And then a little more pasta, a little more flour, and then I pull the dial out and put it down 1. And
So we start from 7 and then to 6.
And then as you put it through, you need another pair of hands because it gets long.
And
so
now
if
it
you
is 5. Okay.
And down to 4. And you can see how long it's getting. Oops. Oh, awesome. Thank you. And it's getting pretty thin. Pasta, when you boil it, will triple in thickness. So you want it thinner than you think. So you can see it's thin, and you can almost see through it. You can,
Your hand through the pasta.
yeah. So I'm going to go down just one more, just to.
Okay. So this is almost a meter long.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you can see my hand through that. That's perfect. And so this is way too long to eat. So we're gonna cut it into more manageable lengths. And when you stack the pasta on top of each other, you wanna make sure you put flour in between, because otherwise all that hard work goes away.
They'll be sticking
Oh
together.
yeah, and you have to redo everything. And so this stack I'm going to put on the side to let it rest, and while we do another one. So in China, they don't like to cut noodles, right? Because it's a symbol of longevity.
Yeah, it really takes time.
Yeah. And you see how it's doing that weird thing here? That usually means it needs a little more flour. Or just a little too thick here.
Can I practice cooking?
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have these.
So I use a bench scraper to cut the pasta because I don't want to use a knife on the table or on a wooden cut, so this just is easier to work with. Super easy. Perfect. All right, so at this point, the pasta is, you could use it as sheets for lasagna. You could cut it into squares and make cannolis. Not cannolis. Yeah, cannelloni. Or you can put it through a pasta cutter that will give you different shapes. But I wanted to show you how to do it by hand. So making sure you have a good amount of flour on it. Oops, and on myself. And then I cut fettuccine. And I could cut it closer together for spaghetti, really finely for angel hair or capellini, and you get fettuccine pasta. So again, really important you make sure there's a lot of flour. Otherwise, it just gloms right together.
Oh wow.
Easy, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then you can also stack them together a couple at a time and do it that way.
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't, but it's very quick, I think. So you can see if you don't put enough flour how they stick together. Luckily, we're not too bad. And now we're ready to boil a big pot of water and start to cook our pasta.